Welcome, a very good evening to all of you. A very important question that we begin with is when should I start my preparation for UPSC examination? Now 2023 examination is scheduled for 28th May. That means you have only 3 months left for your prelims preparation. Now, what should be my strategy at this point of time? Whether I should start dedicatedly with my prelims or focus on to my mains? This is a very important question. Now, what students technically do is till the month of December, they do a dedicated practice for mains. As soon as January starts, students begin with prelims. But now, since you are left with only 3 months, less than 3 months, what is important is to definitely have a dedicated preparation for prelims. Now, prelims would encompass your two sections, that is the GS section and the CSET section. Now, this GS section that you are preparing for prelims should be prepared for the mains level except for paper 4, which is ethics. So, barring the paper 4, which is ethics, you should prepare all the chapters of GS for your mains perspective. Now, when you are doing your mains perspective, few things would remain. For example, in history, you would touch only Indian history, the modern Indian history. However, for prelims, you do have to cover the ancient and the medieval history. Similarly, for geography, you would be covering only the Indian history for your Indian geography for your mains, but for your prelims you would also have to touch the world geography. So what is different is some additions. So remember one thing, specifically when I talk about GS, it is important that you keep your preparation for mains level. The only difference that would start immediately after your 28th May is focusing on answer writing. Definitely we would be having numerous sections on answer writing. Our test series are also updated for GS, geography, psychology and other subjects. So you can simply check those and send in your test for evaluation. The idea here is as you move closer to your examination, what is really important is to understand that you focus mainly on the concepts. So for the section on CSET, now CSET is simply a qualifying section. So definitely there is no requirement to spend a lot of time there. What is really important with CSET is to have a focused strategy. Now, as we proceed, if you have any questions, you can post those in the comment section. I'll be happy to entertain those. Now, when we are talking about the CSET, as I said, it is simply a qualifying paper. But still, students are stuck with CSET paper right now. There are two elements. What you need to understand is which section you are strong at, whether you are strong at mathematics or reading comprehension. Now, if you are okay with mathematics, you can leave all these sections aside and you can scroll down to the section on reading comprehension. Now, how to solve the reading comprehension problems is important. Even the students who are from humanities and arts background find reading comprehension sometimes difficult because the nature of the question over the years have got complicated. The passages are big and you students also face lack of time sometimes. So lack of time is another issue that students face. The main idea is practice. Now, if you go through all these set of lectures, definitely you would be able to have a thorough understanding about the complete lecture. So only 14 hours as of now. We do have some more lectures coming in, but these 14 hours if you practice, then definitely you can be all set. As you practice, you would have this proceed button that would show how much percentage of the total syllabus you have covered so far. So these are some of the topics that you must cover here. Now the next comes is practicing the questions. Now the question bank has more than 11,000 questions. Now these questions start from the sections on NCERT science as well as NCERT social science. Then talking about the current affairs, so the sections on national, international, economic and state news. And then the questions dedicated to magazines, for example, Yojana, Kurukshetra, Down to Earth, some of the expected topics that are covered, and then practice questions from specific set. Now, if you practice and go through these questions, you would get a technical idea about how the questions are. In our recent series on YouTube, we are covering the expected classes for science and tech, for polity, for defense, for tribal studies, for women welfare, defense as some of the major topics. So these are upcoming topics. A lot of emphasis was there on the latest developments in science and tech in the last paper as well. So definitely this becomes an important topic. There is a question from Sajad: when should I prepare for answer writing, before or after the prelims? Now, if you are appearing for this 2023, I would recommend you should practice your answer writing after your prelims is over, that is immediately after your 28th May. You should not wait for the prelims result to be declared. That is really important, because sometimes the students wait for the prelims result to be declared, and by the time it gets too late, so they are left with less than 1 month to practice, and when they send the answers for feedback, there is a lot of congestion, and it takes a lot of time to give the feedback to individual students, since every student has a personalized phone call. So definitely answer writing should, if you want to practice, should be started immediately after your prelims, if you are with an expectation that there is chances to qualify. However, if you are also a marginal case, then also you should practice immediately after your prelims. I hope, Sajad, it is clear. However, if you had asked me this question 1 month, 2 months before, my answer could have been probably a little different. So it depends. Now, since you have 3 months in hand, it is a good idea to have a rigorous practice. As I said, practicing more on the concepts become important, and since prelims has a little variation from your mains, you have to go through the ancient and the medieval history, you have to also go through world geography. So there are little segments that you need to cover separately, and this would make a significant difference when you are preparing for your own. Okay, now the next thing is how should I prepare for the optionals? So here we have around 160 hours of the complete lecture course for the UPSC paper 1 to 4, the polity, the defense section, and the section on economics, the fundamentals of economics, ethics are already added. Geography and other sections are coming in this section. But as you proceed, each of the video as you watch, you would get an insight that for polity, the whole of the Lakshmikant, D.D. Basu is covered in thorough detail. Similarly, for ethics, all the best sources have been covered. The same goes for economics, where Varian and Froyen have been covered in detail. So these are some of the topic lists which would give you an idea about how the depth of the material is, and this would also give you an insight about the topics that you need to prepare. Specific small questions which are asked from different sections, so like the taxation, a lot of difficult questions were there from the section on economics last time. So definitely Investopedia is a good reference, but again with Investopedia, there is another important thing, that the basic concepts of macro economics should be crystal clear. There is a question from Sajad: what should be an idea to choose optional? Sajad, we have covered a YouTube video specifically on deciding optional. So you can simply go to YouTube, search deciding optionals Examrace, you will find the video. The idea is very simple. Two things you must keep in mind. One is your interest in the subject, because consider at least 2 to 3 years you have to dedicate to this subject. So if you are not interested and you get bored with the subject, then definitely there is no point choosing the subject. The second is the depth of knowledge. If you have done your best bachelor's or master's in the subject, excellent, go for that subject, despite the fact that you might feel it little uneasy because you watched some of the toppers videos, or you viewed some other content where they said that this is not a scoring section or a scoring optional. Nothing is like that. All the optionals are equally scoring, Sajad. The idea is there is representative selection from each of the optional. So let's say 10,000 students from optional A appear, 1% of them get selected, 100 students appear, 1% of that get selected. So from the 100 students it's just one, and from 10,000 it's 100. So proportionally when you see there are so many people getting selected from this optional, so this becomes a popular optional. No, it's not like that. So just keep that in mind while you are selecting your optional. And another very important thing with optional, once selected, don't just jump to and fro. It should not be like that you gave this attempt with mains with an optional and you found that you scored less in the optional, so you jump to another optional. No. Probably it was because of the lack of depth and the lack of content that you have studied. For example, a lot of students come to me and ask that we have covered all the NCERT for geography. Is it sufficient for optional? So definitely covering simply NCERTs is not sufficient. Then they say that we have ventured the various YouTube videos. Definitely it would not work. Unless and until you go through a complete syllabus coverage, there is no point going through videos here and there, searching for different content on web. That won't bring that totality. Authentic material, comprehensive material is extremely important to develop depth and knowledge in the subject. So that's what I tell most of the students. There is another question from Deva. Should I try for UPSC and state PSC simultaneously? Maharashtra prelims syllabus is same, but the state mains is objective. So yes, Dev, definitely you should appear for your UPSC and state PSC together. There should be no reason that you appear for UPSC and your state PSC one after other. The simple reason is the syllabus remains the same. Now since you are saying in the mains it is objective, so even if the mains is objective, it should not matter, because for UPSC what you are studying in prelims is objective. For UPSC you are studying objective, subjective, interview, everything. If you are good with the content, it does not matter whether the paper pattern is subjective and objective. The only thing, most of the papers that I have seen in answer writing when I evaluate, the main issue is with depth of knowledge. Students from, let's say, engineering background take psychology as an optional, geography as an optional, with very shallow depth of the subject. Now with that depth of the subject, definitely you cannot consider good answers or good score. So that's where students are stuck. Otherwise you can have a just clear insight, a student securing 90% in board, getting through Delhi University in an admission, and then when it comes to answer writing for UPSC, they are not able to secure even 50%. If they secure this much, they qualify. So why a student who is in reality in a subjective paper getting 90% comes down to 50%? There is no such good reason for it. The only good reason I can cite here is a depth which is very shallow. And definitely yes, answer writing, the style of answer writing matters a lot, but that we would take in a separate lecture. I hope we won't be able to cover this much here. There is another question from Ale. I study daily for 4 hours. My problem is most of the time is utilized in reading news and understanding current affairs. Now, Ale, a very important thing I would like to mention here, and that is when you are doing current affairs, okay, all the current affairs is not important. Probably in a day's current affair, if you go through the newspaper thoroughly, you would find only 2 to 3 topics that could be a probable topic for your UPSC. Right? Once you are able to select those topics clearly, then don't just read the newspaper on those topics. You have to go through complete depth of that topic. That depth could be in terms of geographical aspects, economic aspects, cultural aspects, historical aspects, and all related phenomena. So let's say recently Janjati Gaurav Divas was celebrated. I take this as one example. So Birsa Munda, one of the tribals who fought independently for the freedom of India. Now, when the contribution of Birsa Munda is cited, we talk about the Janjatiya Gaurav Divas being celebrated. But what kind of question can come? It was at Ulahatu the birthplace of Birsa Munda that this celebration was done. So where is this location? It could be asked as a part of GS geography, right? Then you can have questions pertaining to the history of Birsa Munda, the other tribal freedom fighters. Then there could be another question where there could be given the tribal leaders and their location where they were. So the leaders and in which areas they were, or they were related to which revolt. So you have to collect all those information, right? So that is my main point. When you focus on the current affairs, pick only 1 or 2 points, but go through a good detail. And editorials, I definitely do recommend read a lot of editorials, but one very important thing for editorial is that is specifically for your mains answer writing, because it helps you build opinion. It won't be very fruitful for your prelims, because that's objective. So those who are preparing for UPSC and SPSCs, state PSCs, where the mains is in objective format, that should be again taken in mind. There is a next question: how to score more marks in answer writing? Right, Sajad. So, a very good question indeed. A detailed question where I could say I could cover a separate class. What is important here to understand is, when you are writing your answer, first of all, as I mentioned in the beginning, knowledge is paramount. 90%, I would say 70% of the copies I found shallow depth of knowledge. Either they don't belong to the subject, even if they have done their masters from the given subject, they have not read good references, and they are relying to some form of the material or other which is incomplete, right? So knowledge in 70% of the case is extremely important. The second important thing is formation of thoughts in mind. Now, once I have the formation of thoughts in mind, the flow would automatically come. The last thing is representation. How do you represent your answer? When I say representation, one very important thing is that most of the students actually, let's say, even if they are good at answer, let's say they start writing here and they end up here. Some say that we have referred Topper's video, and we have actually incorporated maps or case studies. If you incorporate things which are non-relevant, just because you have said, you have heard that people do that and they got good marks, you'd never know what they did in their real copies, right? And how they included the case studies. Probably for them it was relevant, but when you are trying to incorporate, it becomes irrelevant. So include only a relevant content, no irrelevant deviation from the main thing. The next is, it should not be a huge big chunk of paragraph. The ideas, the thoughts should be systematically broken. A lot of people also say introduction, body and conclusion, nothing like that. We are not, this is not a childish paper where grade 3 or grade 5 student is told that write one paragraph, then another paragraph and third paragraph, and then you would get the marks. No, it's not like this. Everything does not follow a set strategy. But yes, if you are including contemporary happenings, let's say you have a question on agriculture, you include the idea of seaweed farming or saline farming which has started, farming on the barren lands, how it has been made possible, organic farming, the thrust to the organic farming that has been received, or developments in agriculture, for example, the use of nano urea, something like that would actually fetch you good marks depending upon what the question is. Definitely. There is another question: how to start reading newspaper if a newer is in cultivating such habits. Okay, so one very important thing while reading the newspaper, as I said, for what purpose are you reading the newspaper? So purpose becomes one of the important questions, right? Once you understand the purpose, the second thing that you must understand is going to why and how you are reading the newspapers, right? So when I say reading the newspaper, one very important thing is, if you are going for competitive exam purpose and reading the newspaper, as I mentioned, pick 2 to 3 most important happenings. Now this would not be your local happenings, this would not be something related to riots or something related to things like that, but yes, I take a recent example, Turkey earthquake, right? So how the fault lines are created? The last video I took yesterday night was on lithium deposits in India. Now lithium deposit, if you go through the video comprehensively, you would see why it is called as white gold. Then the G1 to G4 nomenclature for mineral exploration by the International Geological Organization, how GSI has been working, the areas where the lithium deposits have been found, what is India's rank now in lithium reserves versus the mining, how are the prospects of mining in India, in which areas lithium is found in brine, in which areas it is found in hard rock, what is the rock structure of lithium deposits which are discovered in Kashmir. So those are in the bauxite rocks. So those are the kind of questions that could come, and this gives you a clear insight about how you have to approach even if you read a news on lithium deposits. Correct? Similarly, I take the example of Turkey earthquake. When it comes to Turkey earthquake, what are fault lines, what are plate tectonics, why the plate is shifting, which plate is shifting, which was the area where the fault has been created. Probably this fault could create a separation or could lead to a formation of a new continent. Does these cycles repeat? So what is the orogenic and the epiorogenic cycles? The next thing that you can be asked is about Operation Dost, India's such mission to other aspects. So those are some of the important things that you should actually get from this. Then another thing is the geographical location, the nearby states, the nearby water bodies, which is a landlocked nation, what are the adjacent countries. So those kind of questions become important. So all this would not be part of your newspaper article that you would read, but you got this point, then go for everything in and around the concept, and that's how you approach your prelims. The next thing is from Dev. When you get some time, please make a video on parliamentary committees. Parliamentary committees already covered, so just hold on, I'll have you here. So if you go on to the video series here, we have covered all the parliamentary committees. Everything in polity is covered in complete depth. Okay, so just go through this video course and you would find everything here. I hope that's clear, and definitely we'll have more things that we would come with. There is another question: how can I improve time management in my exam preparation? There is a very important thing, improving time management. Now you have to identify where are you actually wasting your time. First thing, whether you are wasting your time or not. The second thing. The third thing is how to approach the completion. It's not required that you study 20 hours a day and then only you would be able to qualify an exam, right? There is other ways how you could study with minimum input and maximum returns. So your idea should be minimum input and maximum returns. Now you might say that you might hear students are studying 18 hours, 20 hours. Don't get panicked by that. Very important thing that you must keep in mind is a concentrated and a focused, and rather I would say a directed approach. Recently there was one of the topics that we have covered which talks about the fusion reaction becoming successful. Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory in California. We have covered a detailed video on YouTube on that. Extremely important topic. Now this was a topic which was rarely covered in most of the newspapers. It was covered in few of the science journals in international aspects, and definitely you had few coverages here, but this is a very important breakthrough discovery similar to quantum entanglement, and therefore becomes an extremely important topic. So you have to have a focused and directed approach. Which topic should I pick? Now definitely prelims is very extensive. Mains on the other hand is intensive. You know what kind of questions would come. How you have to approach is the key thing that you need to remember. There is another question, how to prepare for UPSC along with college and NCC. Definitely, if you are doing your masters or if you are doing your bachelors, if you are having your same subject in your optional, then your optional preparation would automatically happen with your college. Besides your college, this is the best time I would recommend to appear. Students, what they do is, some of the students take a break after their college and then appear for UPSC. I would recommend that is not a good way of going for UPSC. The simple reason is it creates a lot of stress and uncertainties in life. When you are in your college days, you know you are in your college days and you have to achieve something. So you are more focused, more enthusiastic, and when there is more burden, you perform better. So probably that theory would not work for all, but yes, that is one of the best times, I would say, to prepare. So extract at least 6 hours on a daily basis. Now this 6 hours you classify. For example, I would recommend that, let's say you have to cover geography, polity, economics, science tech, history, and then the CSET section. So CSET, if you are okay with, since it's qualifying, you need not to dedicate more time. Every weekends would work. So if you do only weekends 2 to 3 hours, that's more than enough. For other subjects, since you are doing your bachelor's or master's, some of the subject you are already covering, right? The other subjects you have to identify whether I am left with 4 subjects, 5 subjects, how many subjects to cover, and those subjects you have to bifurcate. Okay, these bifurcations should be in a way that you cover 1 to 2 hours on a regular basis. So there can be episodes where you cover the complete 6 hours. Today you are getting very interested in what you are reading in geography, so you want to cover for geography. Well, do it. Okay, adjust the time for polity the next time. Okay, another very important thing is, I always recommend to students is, don't just, when you are on YouTube or other social media, don't just flip from one to another to third to fourth. Most of the places you would find it's kind of practices which would just engage you with the videos, but probably when you give it a thought, you won't be able to derive a lot out of it. So it's a very good idea to have good references in hand. You can have compiled materials from reasonable sources, not very expensive material. Go for material which is reasonable and which covers the content thoroughly. Go through the outline, understand it, get yourself satisfied, and then go for it. Okay, and then cover it. So that's another very important thing. There is another question, when would you come live again? So probably my schedule for live is not decided, but yes, we would update on the channel prior to coming live. I hope that would help. The next question is, I belong to a poor family. I have to be busy. Should I start the preparation? Yes, definitely you can start the preparation, but keep this in mind that since you said that you are from a family where your background is not that strong, it's really important that you keep with UPSC a second thing in mind, right? So there is a good requirement for job at this time as well for you, and you must keep this or work with this as an open mind. Don't just waste years blindly with UPSC. Okay, since your family needs assistance at this time as well, you must work for both the things together. That's my personal recommendation, but again, then it's your choice. There is a question, what about IT employees? For IT employees, what optional you choose, is that the question, or how do you manage the time, is that the question, Akhil? If you just mention that, I'll be able to elaborate better. The next is, while I'm writing test series taking more time to finish, I'm unable to read the questions. Can I do selective reading on subjects? Selective reading I usually don't recommend, because for your mains answer writing, the kind of questions that come are very, very predictable, and if you have covered your GS totally for your prelims and mains, then definitely selective content should not be an option. Anyways, for any be it optional or GS, I won't recommend that you go for selective reading. Probably you might have been advised the same, but from my advice, that's not a good idea, because sometimes, let's say if we talk about prelims, it so happens, let's say you have 30 questions from economics this time, because the economy globally is not performing well. So what would you do if you have left economics or major topics in economics? You would get stuck with the prelims itself. So if you are doing selective reading, you are not just spoiling your mains, but you are having a bad impact on your prelims as well, which would ultimately decide your selection criteria for mains, right? I hope that was useful. The next is, Yes, Sajad. Sajad has a very good statement for one of the questions that are asked. Extremely impressive. Very good. The next is mostly 10 hours in my office. My role is data analyst. Okay. So Akhil has a question. I am 10 hours in job. How would I prepare for UPSC? Now, Akhil, a good way is to take time during the weekends. Okay, have dedicated preparation. Also, one very important thing is don't have too much bundle of material with you. Okay, find little material but specific material, and once you have, stick to that, but identify that this is authentic, that covers the content thoroughly, and it's not like that you feel after 2 months or 1 month that you have been cheated. So that should not be the case. Okay, but yes, 4 hours on a regular basis on a working day, and then extracting around 10 to 12 hours on a weekend, I think it should work well. There is another question. There are limited sources authentic, including the YouTube channel. Yes, that is one of my concerns, because I have seen a lot of students facing this problem, specifically with new generation. Even on the web, there are lots of contents which are nonsensical, because that content is being created through probably some way or the other, where simple word replacements are done. A very poor ethical practice, I would say. But yes, that is what deteriorates the level. So make sure you are not blindly following the content. You go to the content, check the veracity of the content, check the authenticity of the content, get yourself satisfied, and then only go through the content. Okay. The next question is, okay, so okay, so yeah, that was one of the last questions I have addressed today. I hope the session. Okay, I have another question. I wanted to do self preparation. Definitely, Sahiti. That's what we technically recommend students. Don't spend lakhs and lakhs of rupees for your coaching. Ultimately, students do that, come back to us saying that we have spent it so much money and still everything goes in vain. Why not try just thousands of bucks and try the material once, see if this could help you with just less than thousands of investment, and if that works, why should you spend a lot, right? So self preparation of definitely there is no good substitute. You save a lot of time. We are 100% with you that self preparation is the best way, and with the changing and dynamic pattern of UPSC, no one person can actually guide you what exactly would be the set of questions for your paper. So if you self prepare, you have a good thing. The only thing you have to keep in mind with self preparation is maintain consistency, regularity, and honesty with yourself. So you should be in a good flow to study and a good mood to study every day. Keep yourself motivated to study. Okay, so yes, Swati, we already have the test series for mains running. So that's already for 2023. So you can just check the questions. The questions we have put up for free. So everything is available. The questions are available for free. You can just check those for your mains, for your optionals as well. And the gist on cracking UPSC for psychology optional. So if you go on to the list of subjects, we have all the subjects for the optional. The study material, the test paper writing, the model answers, and the lectures in certain cases. So for psychology, we do have video course, we do have the complete lecture course as well. So you can just go through the psychology programs in detail, and you would have, so it's a lecture course, and then there is a study material, the question bank, and full length test. And also you can get your individual answers evaluated. You can pick your own question and send those for evaluation. Okay, for quantitative aptitude, as I said, preparing with some of the topics here, which are very very important, would make sense, and this would help you work better. You can also solve the questions which are available. These include the previous year's papers and the practice questions on these topics. But if you are from a non-maths background, definitely practicing a lot of questions would make a viable sense. So that was for today. I would like to wind up here, but definitely we'll come back again with UPSC discussions soon. Wish you very good luck. Have a wonderful journey ahead, and we are always there in case you need any any personal guidance or assistance, I am available for free one-on-one consultation on telephone. You can connect to us on our telephone number, which is given at the bottom of each page on Doorstep Tutor. So you can just request a WhatsApp message and I'll be there for a free one-on-one consultation. Wish you very good luck. Have a wonderful evening.